So taking a moment to tune in, to ground, to come into my breath, to come into my heart space, to connect. So welcome and namaste everybody who is joining me, who is with me here. I really felt called to come on and speak about this difference between organic consciousness, organic templates, organic ascension, and the genetically modified timelines, the genetically modified ascension, the false matrix. So, why is this so important? Because it's really important for us to know the difference so that we can stay true to our path and so that we can know what we're getting involved in. Before I get into any of these concepts, I just want to say and let everybody know that this is all from my personal experience, that I'm absolutely not referring to any religion, to anything that has come before us, to any concepts that are stemming from these religions. Because from my personal experience, all of the religions and all of the spirituality has profound value within it. There's value to be found everywhere. But the nature of the history of mankind and humanity has been so that everything has sort of been tainted by the mind and the ego and these genetically modified consciousness. So, and I also would like to say that when I talk about these concepts, many people who are involved in the new age spirituality come to tell me like, oh, well, this is about oneness and this is about stepping outside of duality and really that there's no separation. So I just want to also let everyone know that I really understand these concepts. I live by these concepts. And when I talk about the difference between organic consciousness and genetically modified consciousness, I'm not coming from a space of separation. I'm not viewing anybody that is separate from myself. I see each and every individual as part of me, and I know that we are all one. There is just things that are taking place on this planet that we really need to be aware of. And these concepts, these new age spiritual concepts, can really stray us from looking at the reality of what's going on. And I also want to precipitate this entire conversation by saying that I am not condemning, judging any individual, because everybody has the free will to have their own beliefs. Everybody has the free will to understand the way that they understand things. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not saying anybody's right or anybody's wrong. I just really want to make this specific distinction between what is organic and what is inorganic to God. So this morning, as I was meditating, I received the insight that was a really, really simple analogy that we can all understand. So, and I posted about this and I wrote, there is organic food and there is genetically modified food. And we, of course, all know that organic food is nourishing, it's nurturing, it's healthy for us. And those who are on a healthy pathway or that are mindful or conscious about their health are obviously looking to consume organic things. On the other side of that, there are things that are genetically modified and that are inorganic to nature. They are not organic to nature. They're not organic to God. They are man made. So with this whole concept of free will, everyone gets to choose. We all get to choose whether we are in alignment with God's will or whether we're in alignment with our own personal will. So throughout the history, and of course, people can say everything is God, and that's besides the point, because there are things organic to God and things that are inorganic to God. So, for example, through this free will, we have a choice to stray away from God. We have a choice and the free will to move away from the light and to forge our own path. And this has happened. And through this free will, there are many beings and many entities who have taken it upon themselves to stray away from God. So we can use these historical references from the Bible. So you can see that, the devil was a part of God and the devil was an angel of God. However, the devil chose to stray away from God and he was fallen and he forged his own path. So it's not saying that it's not a part of God. It's just inorganic to God because it's separate from God's will. And this is the nature of free will that God obviously gave to us. So through this straying, there have been many, many instances where these beings have used their own free will to modify and genetically modify consciousness. So just like food is genetically modified, consciousness also has been genetically modified. And I use a food example because it's a really simple concept for all of us to understand how this can possibly work. So through this genetic modification, these beings, using their own free will, have forged a path that allowed them to gain the benefit for themselves. And if we look at the very real events of how the world is running today, we have the 1% who is in control of everything. We have the 1% that is printing the money, that is enslaving the entire world. And how is this possible? Because of the inorganic, genetically modified consciousness that they have bestowed upon humanity. Okay, so this is sort of how it's playing out in the world today. And a part of that is distinguishing what is organic and what is inorganic. So I made a post that, of course, is going to not sit well with a lot of people because we have in the New Age spirituality movement been led to all of these concepts that are actually making us fall deeper into states of illusion, that are leading us astray, that are keeping us away from God's true organic light. Okay, and part of this is the whole Kundalini story. So I again want to make a distinction between organic Kundalini and the genetically modified reverse false Kundalini serpent. So, and once again, this has nothing to do with religion. And even though it seems like it is stemming from religion, from the Bible and from the East, as there are many practices worshiping the serpent, I'm speaking from my own experience and my own understanding. So there are very few of us on this planet who have an organic Kundalini. So what is Kundalini? Kundalini is the life force energy that lives at the base of the spine that is too intense for us to carry at the early stages of life, or this is an energy that throughout our growth and evolution comes to rise up the spine and helps us to evolve. Okay, so I have had experiences where a profound energy has risen from the base of my spine and has cleared away many layers of illusions and that which has been held within my physical body for a very long time. So it is an energy that clears and that awakens and that really helps us to evolve. Okay, so I have never experienced the Kundalini serpent within me, and I make a distinction between these two because the serpent, in the way that I see it, is a genetically modified consciousness. The serpent has been implanted into the organic Kundalini to prevent us from awakening to God's light, to prevent us from coming out of the slave body. So this is the whole concept of yoga, is to actually transcend this entire system. And with the serpent, it takes an extreme amount of mastery for it to not harm you to the point of death. So with the genetically modified consciousness, with the serpent being implanted, I really just wanted to share this insight and share this because so many people can get stuck on the temptations that this serpent offers us. Okay, so again, I'm not referencing the Bible, even though this is clearly laid out in the Bible. This is my own personal experience and something that I've been through and something that I've been tempted with. Okay, so with our organic ascension, we are first awakening the God presence within our heart space. We are first connecting to the God presence within us, to the Christ within us, and then the ascension is going further to awaken the mind. With the false ascension, with the false ascension matrix, with the genetically modified consciousness, what is happening? With the Kundalini serpent, the serpent is awakening and the implanted serpent is actually rising and bypassing the heart space. The serpent is bypassing the God presence within you, awakening the mind. Okay, and people who have their third eyes awakened before they awaken their God presence within, then it becomes really, really difficult to actually come back and to connect with the heart space, to connect with the God presence within, to connect to what is real. So the serpent is awakening the mind, is forcing people to look everywhere outside of themselves. It is bypassing this entire natural, organic process of awakening, of ascension, of realizing who we are. And this is the temptation of the serpent. The temptation of the serpent is the knowledge. All of us want to know what's going on, right? And all of us want to find an easy way to learn what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's just another way to bypass. Okay, and if you really tune in and question the energy of the serpent and look at what it represents and where it's being represented. So something that struck me, that another beautiful sister mentioned the other day, that was like, wow, okay, this is all in our face. Everything is in our face. So this entire story with the World Health Organization, with Bill Gates, this is another example of genetically modified consciousness. Okay, so this is what happens with the genetically modified consciousness. It tries to be God. Okay, so the World Health Organization, Bill Gates, and the entire circle of individuals who are propagating and pushing forward this vaccination to take control of the entire planet, to take control of life. And really, the genetically modified consciousness is anti-life. Okay, so we have pro-life and we have anti-life. We have the organic tree of life, and then we have the reverse tree of death. So you can see it in our face. Bill Gates is talking about world population and managing the world population and doing that through vaccinations. And he has taken control over the World Health Organization. And what is on the symbol of the World Health Organization? Who are they following, right? It's the serpent that is right on their symbol. So we have to question these things because this has been ongoing for millennia. This has been ongoing for thousands and thousands of years, this genetically modified consciousness, right? So time is an illusion, and it might seem that like, oh, just because our history and our belief system and our faith has been going on for so long, and there's millions of people who have followed us for a very long time, doesn't mean that there's any there's any worth to that, right? Because even if we look at so many enlightened or awakened people on the planet who have their third eyes open, who are teaching, who are sharing knowledge and bringing insight and maybe helping people, like how many of these leaders are actually awakened in the heart? How many have that purity where there is no sexual misconduct or rape happening with their students, where there's no sketchy behind the things happening? So this is all part of the false ascension, the inorganic, genetically modified consciousness. And this is really what I wanted to talk about and get people to think about, because it's really important. And these concepts, these new age spirituality concepts, are really keeping people stuck, and it's like we have to come out of the entire religion. We have to come out of everything that's been before us, and we have to be really critical and be open to dropping everything, because nothing has really worked. Like nothing has worked on the planet. There's still 1% on top that are controlling the whole world, that lock down the entire world by putting out a virus, So like we're still in this space where there is benevolent forces. And again, I'm not separating myself from anyone. I'm not separating myself from the 1%. I'm not separating myself from any single living being. We just have to recognize what is organic to God and what is inorganic, what is organic to nature and what is genetically modified. And we can't allow these new age spirituality concepts, which the 1% came out with, to blind us and to say, oh, well, this is all duality. We can't, like, this is duality, looking at things that are good and that are bad, and therefore I'm not going to look at anything, and I'm going to be happy and content in my illusions of non-duality and of oneness and all of these other concepts that are just making people complacent, that are making people go with the flow, that are making people, like base their entire existence on what like is popular, right? So like yoga's popular, tantra's popular, all of these concepts are so popular. Why? Because they're the perfect avenue to gather people, to bring people together, and to siphon their energies, which are actually feeding these genetically modified conscious beings. Okay, because if we're not connected to the light of God, if we're not connected to the source of God, then we need to have a host. We need to have something to live off of. And this is where it becomes very dangerous and very tricky, especially in the new age communities where people actually think they know what they're doing, and they're believing many, many malevolent forces that are presenting themselves as goddess, as God, that are actually fallen beings that have an agenda of their own, and they're just using people. Okay? People are being used. Their entire physical vessel is being used to siphon energy from other people and to keep these beings alive, to keep everything that is happening going. And we can see that. We can see that in the elite, right? We can see that with like what's happening with Lady Gaga. Why is she representing the World Health Organization in these like satanic parties? So it's really like the veils are all falling and everything is falling. And I just wanted to explain a little bit more about my experience, how I'm seeing things, how I see what is organic to God and what is inorganic to God. And actually, that which is inorganic, which people think is helping them, like all of these entities that people are connecting to in the astrals that seem benevolent and they seem like they're helping you. They're not helping you, they're just using you. So I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to condemn anyone. Everyone's experience is, is beautiful, and everyone has that right, and everyone has the free will to experiment and to connect with any and all energies, any and all astral beings. But really, it's just questioning, what are you connecting to? What are you worshiping? What are you allowing to guide you? What is guiding you? Who are you turning to? And are these forces truly, truly in alignment with your highest good? Or are they only there to benefit themselves and to feed off of you, to feed off of your energy? And the best way to feed off of people's energies, which has been prevalent for the history of humanity, is through sexual energy. This is our most powerful energy. This is what creates life. And this is why Tantra is so popular. Okay? Because this is the easiest way for these inorganic beings to survive. This is the easiest way. So, and everybody, it's like we're being hooked. People are being hooked through the temptations. They're tempted to know things. They're tempted by sex. Everything's repackaged. Everything that's been here before is repackaged with spirituality. You can see this in absolutely everything. You can see this in these spiritual business packages also that are selling the American dream for an insane amount of money, and everybody wants that. Everybody wants the American dream, and everybody wants to make, $10,000 months. And this is like their goal. This is their distraction. So everything is just repackaged. So we have to be really discerning, and you have to know who you're connecting to, what you're connecting to, which energy you're connecting to, and who told you to connect to these energies. Like these are, a lot of them are practices from like 5,000 years ago. I'm not condemning anything. I'm just really saying to be mindful, to tune inwards, to tune into your heart space. And this is the only place you need to go. This is the only place you need to be. And keep dropping the awareness here. This will give you all the answers. This will give you the kingdom. And when I say that, I'm not referencing the Bible. This is the truth. This is my experience. when you access this, then you don't need anything else. You don't need to keep striving. Okay? You don't need to learn all of these crazy things that are there so they can siphon your energy, so they can take your life force, because they need that to survive, because they're not connected to God. So, yeah, wow. I hope that makes sense. And I had one question about organic templates, and this is all just another word for it, right? Like organic consciousness, organic templates. It's just that which is organic to God. And that which is not organic to God is the genetically modified stuff, is the reverse templates, is the serpent energy that reverses everything and that awakens the mind first, that really lures people in through sexuality and sex. So this is just to speak my truth, to share what I've been really understanding and going through and trying to put words to, so that I hope you can receive this with an open mind and drop all of the concepts that may prevent you from truly accessing the truth. Even though they are concepts, they're being used to blind. These concepts are being used to really turn people away from what's going on, so that enslavement on this planet can continue, so that the 1%, the genetically modified consciousness that is running this entire false matrix, can continue to be in power. Okay, so don't allow those new age spirituality concepts to fool you, to blind you, to keep you complacent, living in a la la land of goodness, saying everything is wonderful, because really we're here to change everything. Okay, we're here to bring heaven on earth. And it's not an easy job. It's not just gonna, like, it might happen overnight, who knows, but we have to be super critical and really question which concepts we're accepting, which entities we're allowing, which guides we're following. So I hope that cleared up and helped people understand the very real difference between that which is organic and that which is not organic to God, not organic to creation, not organic to the natural unfoldment of our evolution. So thank you, everyone who tuned in. Thank you, everyone who took the time to listen. Thank you, everyone who is open to releasing and to dying to everything that they once knew. So this is the only way to move forward, is if we can drop all of these concepts that we feel so attached towards, you know? And it's just so interesting. Before I end off, it's like, posting these things, I'm getting attacked, right? Like energetically attacked, like people are attacking, which, like, I don't mind, because this is just the way things go, you know? And it doesn't bother me. It's just very interesting, because that's an opportunity for you to ask, what are you really attached to? You know, like, why is it that something another person is saying is triggering you? And usually this is how these energies work. If you have that energy within you, that energy, that inorganic, genetically modified energy will attack, right? It will attack the truth. It will attack the light, because it wants to stay in power. It wants to be the predominant source on this planet. But yeah, so that's just something to consider. If you feel something within you that like wants to jump out and attack this information, then just question what it is that you're defending. Why are you defending? And can you be just open? Like I'm really not saying anyone is right, anyone is wrong. We all have a free will. We can all believe what we want. We can all honor each other with our different beliefs, of course. It's just really, can we be open? So, once again, thank you, and have a most blessed day, evening, morning, wherever you are. And feel free to ask any questions, because this is all things that I'm processing and that I'm integrating and that are coming up for me, that I'm just simply sharing my personal insight and my viewpoints and that which is awakening within me. So on that note, I will end here, and sending everyone so much love and many, many blessings to you. May you connect with the God presence that is within your heart. This is the most important thing for all of us to do, is keep going into the heart and keep going into our spiritual heart, and drop everything else. Drop all the desires for all the knowledge, drop all the desires for all the money, drop all the desires for everything else, okay? Because this is the only thing that matters. Everything else will come from there. We don't need to focus on anything else. We just really need to awaken to our hearts and set a really, really powerful, unshakable foundation and connection to our heart space. Because if we don't, then what are we really doing? This is what we're here for. This is really what we are here to do, is to awaken to our hearts and allow our hearts to lead the way. Allow God's will to lead the way. Not the desires of the mind. Wrapping all of that mental, mind, ego energy, pulling it down into the heart. Again and again and again and again. Okay, so much love, blessings. Thank you.